Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas, and we have wonderful guests. And I have today with me um, my Eddie, BenAbraham. I always want to call you Ben for some reason. I don't know why, but I just Ben comes to mind first. And so I'm sorry about that, Eddie. But I was thinking Ben, and I knew it wasn't right. But so Eddie BenAbraham. So welcome, and I'm
Thank
so.
you. Thank you, Gail. Pleasure to be here.
And
Thank
we're
you.
going to bring Christine on too. She's going to participate in the conversation as well. So thank you, Eddie. We are fascinated by this messages that you have received from the founding whales. I find that absolutely amazing, and I'm very anxious to hear what they have to say for humanity.
Be happy to. So the founding original founders, the original whales, as they call themselves, they're not the whales that are on the planet. They are the whales that they are located in the central sun, and you can consider them to be the very first ones who have reached ascension process and higher dimensions and realms. And through the evolutionary process, they are the ones who are responsible in creating universes and planets, and are in charge of bringing in the information through the water. Water is the key element that is through that they actually transmute and deliver the information they need.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah,
Well, I know
very.
water has memory and a lot of it.
Water has a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
They talk about seven states of water. They talk
Okay.
about their singing, their ceremonies that they do in in the ocean, in the water, which is basically directly related to our DNA, to our 24 chromosomes. So they literally said, look out for the types of messages and songs that we sing or energies that we emit into the water, and you'll see that there's 20 different ones, and they're directly associated with the 24 chromosomes in our DNA. And um, there's so much more. There's a lot of information, and it just keeps growing. And it is a process of about 8 to 9 months. They've instructed me that's going to take me to get the information and then turn it into a book, which is going to eventually be published. Don't have the date yet.
Okay, that's absolutely fascinating. Who would have guessed that the whales were instrumental in the formation of planets and universes?
Yeah, it's very profound. It's very beautiful, and it just gives us the understanding, or just beginning to understand how water is important, and how the whales are important, how we're important, and how um, um, we're all connected in such a big way, such a profound way. So one of the things that they have shared, another thing that they've shared is the DNA. Our DNA and their DNA is related. We have parts of their DNA in our DNA. It is essential.
Well,
Um,
we're 80% water, approximately ourselves, just our body.
Water is
Some
life.
some say
True.
70. Yeah, it is. And someone even said that in the chat already. Water is life.
Water is life. There's no planet that can sustain life without water.
Oh, look
It's
at
just
this.
too much.
We have some wide awake people in our chat. Without the
Exactly.
whales, Earth
Without the
wouldn't
whales, Earth would
exist.
not exist. No, totally not. They're part of the plan, part of the game.
Fascinating. So tell us more. What about frequency? How does that? I remember seeing something about frequency mentioned with the water and the whales.
So
What?
frequency has to do with everything around you. Remember
Hmm.
Nikola Tesla, if you want to know the secrets of the
Yeah.
universe, look at frequency. So it's basically it. Matter is a representation of a frequency. Um, Water is the first element that creates all matters. It sounds a little bit extreme, I know, but
Hmm.
they're saying that from water, everything comes from water. And one of the first messages they came in with was 1 and 3, which comes to 4. The 1 is consciousness. The other 3 is gravity, time, and water. And these are the 4 elements, 4 ingredients that are the essentials to create anything in our universe, including in our body. And so if you think about it, consciousness is God. And then you have the 4 elements that needed to create physicality in our universe, if you will. And at the same time, we are creators as well. We are consciousness. And we have the power to change and shift time, matter, and time, matter, and gravity. We have the control over it. We have the power.
People have been made to feel so small and insignificant that it's hard for them to imagine that they could have any real impact.
So,
what would you say to that?
Yeah, I would say that this has been in planning for a long time, to diminish our powers, to hide our capabilities and the gifts that we have and who we are, and the extension of God that we are. We're not part of Source. We're not a part as a part that you would identify in a car. You know, it's not a radiator that you take out of the car and put it back in. We're an extension of Source. We're an extension of God. We're not separate from anything.
So we're directly connected.
Again, it's we are them, and then them is us. In other words, it's the same as having a drop of water connecting back to the ocean. When the water is separated from the water, quote unquote, it feels isolated. But when it becomes aware of the ocean, it's becoming part of the ocean. It knows that it's vast. It's huge. It's powerful. And this is what's been going on for many, many years. You're not powerful enough. You're not supposed to do this. You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to know that either. With any secret or any awareness-based teachings or knowledge that would make you feel or know that you're more powerful than anybody else. Not in a powerful, I mean powerful to be dominating or in a egotistical way, or a one that wants to conquer the other one. I'm talking about powerful divine power.
Divine power. It's a big difference.
Power,
yeah. Difference. Well, there's a couple of comments in the let me see if I can bring a couple of them forward, because they had just found in the last couple of years a new species of whale. I haven't heard that. Have you? Well, these are different whales. I remember you said the original whales were silver tail whales. Is that correct?
No, that they mentioned that there's a new type of whale that's going to be discovered, and it's going to be known as the silver tail. These types of whales, as far as I understand from them, it's going to be a bigger one, bigger than the blue whale. So it's either going to show up somehow, or it's been hidden from our eyes for a long time. We don't know about it, or they're just going to be all of a sudden show up, because they have the capability of transporting themselves from planet to planet.
Oh, wow. And they just go right into the ocean. Well, you have to wonder why, for the longest time, Mr. T has been saying, watch the water, for probably a lot of different reasons. But the water seems to be very active, like you said, from the very get-go in everything. How would you agree with this statement someone put up there? And the 5th element is love. They did earth, wind, and fire, and something else. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, 5th Element is a great movie. Thank you for bringing it up.
Can I add something?
Go ahead.
Watching the water, there's a lot going on with the water around the world. I'm sure we've heard this, or most people have heard this, where Lake Mead is almost dry. The Euphrates is drying up.
Powell too, yeah.
Yeah, and out in Vegas and California, etc. And what they're finding is old ships, bodies, old fish, maybe skeletons. Like, there's a revealing happening. And I think with the Earth changes, that might facilitate us finding this new whale, and with all the changes in the Earth and the patterns coming around the Earth. It just makes sense.
So let's differentiate between the things that are being caused by humans directly and the ones that are part of the process of the planet. The planet is moving
Yes.
in a particular fashion through the galaxy, and it's evolving. Now, if we're on board and we're right on track, we're going to evolve with her. Now, on the other hand, you have what's taking place on the planet that's related directly to the humans. So what you're referring to as Mr. T's watch the water, it's other things. Just like me, that was there recently. Water is very low, and it looks like it's deliberately done. So in essence, when we're talking about watch the water, it's more about the intel and what's going on out there, and you want to pay attention to. On a global scale, the planet is going through a rejuvenation process. It's replenishing its resources. It's cleansing the resources. And that's the reason we're going to be going into a sort of a mini ice age. It's going to get cold.
Just the opposite of what they've been telling us.
Yeah. It's going to get cold, but it's going to be a good thing.
Things always get inverted, don't they?
Yeah.
Okay. Keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt you if there was more to that.
Ask me more questions.
Oh, okay. Well, the other thing that I thought was really interesting, because somebody already brought it up in the chat, and Christine, our dot connector, and I were talking about it prior to the show, and that is that they had a movie on Star Trek about the whales.
Yeah.
And we're just going to include that in the chat just for fun for people to see what that went. I think someone said that they went in Spock went in and did a mind melt with the whales or something like that. I don't remember. I know I saw the show, but I don't remember all the details.
Yeah,
so now after seeing this, I'm going to have to go watch it again and see if there's any relevance. But anyway, what else about? I'm sure there's more about the whales that they have told you. You mentioned something about a gift to humanity, or is that still unknown?
The gift is in general all the information that they're bringing in.
Okay.
And at the same time, as we're moving forward, we are receiving the new coding that we are. We have invited those new codings. And what do we mean by coding? So let's go back a little bit. Every planet that has a capacity to have life needs the whales. They need the whales because the whales are the conductors of this orchestra that is responsible of creating life on any planet. Now, this could be on our planet, which is oxygen-based, could be a helium-based planet, could be any other type of planet. But so long as life is required or is capable of achieving higher capacity of living, meaning ascension process, for example, whales have to be there because they are the ones who transmute and code the water that goes directly to your DNA.
Wow.
And they're talking about a cycle that they have, which is about a 13-year cycle, where they basically come in and do a measurement. And they check what is the status and what is the projection for the life forms on the planet, including humans. And between the 13 years, the sun brings in the new information. And the whales are in charge of coding the water with the new information that goes into your DNA. In addition, you have other celestial events that do come in with different types. So that's a culmination of things coming together and through the whales come into us.
Wow. That's talk about synergy. That's really amazing. Boy, thank you.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I'm just kind of dumbfounded. Wow, I don't know. This is new information to me.
It was a new information for me too a year ago.
Okay.
I had no idea.
Well, I'm not too far behind that. But
No.
anyway, that's fascinating and very interesting, and it makes sense. So it resonates with me too. So I'm delighted to know this. So the sun is bringing in information, and the whales are putting the codes into the water.
Mm-hmm.
which is going to impact our DNA along the way.
Every living thing, including the planet.
Everything.
So think about this. We're not breathing air, we're breathing water. And we are literally like atomic we're like an atomic creators. We take the water and we break it apart, if you want to call it that way, and then we create the energy. There's this particular energy, life source. And the different cultures, they call it different things. Like prana, for example. That's a type of life force. Yeah.
That reminds me of smart. I said, breathe in that.
Yeah, exactly. Through your breathing, when you breathe it in, you have receptors behind your nose that take the water and they break it down. And you have
because we have humidity in the air, so it is water. And I never thought of it that way, because at first when I thought, what do you mean we're getting water? Breathe water. Well, wait a minute, I'm not drowning, so how am I breathing water? But when you think about it, we got humidity in the air all the time.
No, we have to have. Even the desert has humidity. Everywhere you have water. Even the driest place on the planet has water.
And the Bible always speaks about the waters above and the waters below. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people talk about water as portals, and that just makes a lot of sense. And so what you're saying is that somehow our physiology actually transforms the water breaks the bonds of the H2O and creates this life force energy.
Yes.
That's really amazing.
Fascinating. That's hydrogen mostly then. Well, oxygen too. So I guess both of them.
Yeah.
But
and anyway, then it could recreate H3 if it wanted. I mean, there's so many ways you can go from there, but that's really fascinating. Yeah,
there's so many ways to go, and again consciousness is key. Consciousness is king and key, because we are in control of this, and we chose this. And what I'm referring to is the choice of staying here and continuing this game of life. Had we ever chosen not to, by this point of time, Earth would look like Mars, which means we're staying for a long haul. We're good. We're not going anywhere. We won this game.
I'm getting spiritual bumps. Goosebumps.
So all the doom and gloom prophecies of the past are no, let it go.
That's so wonderful. So many people were concerned about being left behind during this transitionary period, because they weren't feeling that they weren't doing enough, they weren't good enough, they didn't, meditate enough, they didn't do all the things that people were saying to do, probably because they were so caught up in survival exercises in life, like going to work and that kind of thing. Sometimes I feel blessed that this is happening during the time when I have retired, even though I haven't retired. I still work full time, but I'm doing something that I love doing. So I'm okay with it, because I'm an eternal learner, and I'm happy to learn these things. So, beautiful. And I think my audience would be as well.
Totally. Nobody's going to be left behind. No such thing as being left behind. So anybody who comes forward and says, I'm concerned that I'm not doing enough, or I'm not, as we discussed this earlier, I'm not meditating enough, or I'm not doing enough, whatever possible way to make me eligible to stay.
That's it. Like, people are wondering, am I going to qualify? How do I qualify?
You're already here. You're already experiencing life. This is the lifetime you've been waiting for. I'm going to say this again. This is the lifetime you've been waiting for. What else can I take? What else can I say that is gonna emphasize this importance of you being here on the planet and playing this game of life? It's a miraculous thing.
It's such an impactful time of change. It's the end of a cycle and the beginning of the new one, which is, moving into the golden age. And it's just wonderful. I mean, if we can get everybody to raise their consciousness even more, it'll happen even faster.
It is happening already.
It's
happening. There's a quickening of awakening souls, and everybody's becoming more aware. Let me ask you this very simple question. In the last, let's say 5 years ago, compared to today, you speak to anyone and you ask them a question about what is energy of life, or I want to do some energy healing with you, or on you, with you, whatever. Nowadays, more people understand what is energy work or healing than 3 or 5 years ago.
That's true.
In the last 3 years, ever since COVID came in, it just boom, all of it, everywhere. People are becoming aware. They're waking up, and it's an incredible time to be in. There are types of souls who will just come in here to spend a few moments and leave just because they want to experience these times. It's an experience on the soul. Each one of us has a different part in this game. Some will remain, some will come back again, some will move to another planet. But in essence, we're here to experience life and enjoy life. And this is our mission. And to continue and grow and come closer and closer to source. That is basically where we started. We started furthest away from source, and then we're building this up, our experience, our learning, our wisdom through reincarnation as we come back again and again and again and again. So nobody's going to be left behind. Maintain love, compassion, unity, treat one another with respect, and love yourself more and more.
That is so important. Self-love is extremely important because it spreads it outside. We have free range. We have been trying to do little short clips about, we did one on, we did a smile campaign, and then we've just recently done another one about kindness, being kind, that kind of thing. And they're just short little 3-minute things, but we have someone that volunteers her time to do little clips like that, so we can get it out there and see if we can raise people's frequency and vibration as much as possible.
That's phenomenal. Even 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, doesn't matter how long, and it's just the intention. Putting it out there is a great. It helps tremendously. Again, you have the consciousness of creation. So the moment you create something, you make a shift on the planet. Even if you're one, it doesn't matter.
Oh, wow. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah. Wow. Remember, you're an extension of source. You're not part of source. You're an extension of source. So your intent shifts everything on the planet. You're not insignificant.
Oh, okay.
You're very significant. And I'm speaking to everyone here and everybody on the planet.
Awesome. Christine, could you, I have a phone that keeps ringing. I forgot to shut it off. So would you please ask a question while I go shut it off, because it's driving me crazy. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay. So, so what is your impression then for the people who are actually evil or demonstrate evil or are playing the role of evil beings? What happens with them? They go back to source? They get taken care of? In what way?
There's various ways of source taking care of them, or guiding them in a different way. Now, bear in mind that darkness has to exist. Darkness and evil is part of the agitation process to help
be a catalyst.
Assist.
Yes.
It's like a catalyst.
Yes.
And the higher we move in our evolutionary process, we identify it more and we see what it is, and we're able to live a higher spectrum of life, meaning less evil, less darkness, more light, more understanding. And then at some point, we're able to start seeding other planets ourselves. And that's going to take a few hundred years.
Thank you. I'm back. Sorry.
Welcome back.
I was in the other room and it just kept ringing and they kept calling and calling. So I thought I'd better do something.
We were just talking about evil as a catalyst to our evolution by prompting us along the way to see and to grow as we face challenges, Yeah.
Now, as far as the individuals, remember, this planet is free choice.
Well, I have to question that, Eddie, to a certain extent. How free can you be when with certain restrictions and parameters are placed on people from a financial standpoint that I think limits what they can do a lot?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
The nature of our planet is such that you have to work for a living and you have to work plenty hard in order to have enough. In fact, it went from one person working to two people in order to make ends meet. I find that a major obstacle for people to be able to be really free.
I agree with you. And again, it's part of the system of the old, where they created this environment where The mother has to leave the house, so she has to work. The children are not in this supervision. They make more money because she's paying taxes now. And slowly but surely, they destroyed the middle income.
Yep.
And there's only going to
Sure
be
have.
2 levels, poor and rich.
Yep.
But that's not going to happen, as you know it. It's going to end. It's already ending. So the future is bright and beautiful, the golden age, where we're going to have more freedom. We're going to, health. The planet is going to heal, and we're going to help her heal. Then, as far as survival, so human nature is shifting. If you ask this from historians, if human nature is changing, they're going to say, no way, it's a bunch of bull. Human nature is shifting. And one of the basics and one of the foundation shifts has to do with survival. We're moving away from survival mode. We're shifting away from survival mode. And what do I mean by that?
The fight or flight mode, kind of?
It's kind of, yes.
Yeah.
It's a flight mode with trust with source. So some of you, or maybe most of you, know the story of the Israelites leaving Egypt, where they walked the desert for 40 years. So one of the things that source was teaching them, guiding them through, is to understand that they are being provided, so they don't have to think about survival. So this understanding, this type of living on a daily basis, that you're going to receive water, that you're going to be receiving food, becomes a cognization of the process. So this memory is embedded within every one of us. We have experienced this in our past. So just remembering this and bringing it to the present and living it again. Because when you live in trust, knowing that source is going to provide you better than what you expect, then your life completely shifts from a place of, oh my God, I don't have enough. Then the other way is, I trust. I know that I'm going to be provided in better ways than I expect. I'm in gratitude. Thank you. Everything comes in gratitude. And
that is so true.
And your entire life shifts, because things that were based on the pillars of survival, you don't need those anymore. So everything in your life shifts. So what I would say to those people who still are struggling, first of all, you know that we're going to go into a little bit of a storm here. It's going to get a little hectic, and I'm pretty certain it's going to happen this week.
What kinds of things do you anticipate, if I might ask?
I don't know exactly when, but my messages was the 9th. And if you look at also the celestial events, I don't know if you know, I do coffee readings.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. Thank you for bringing that up. I was going to ask you about that. I had never heard of that before.
I'll digress.
That's fascinating too.
I'll digress real quick into this. So coffee reading is a traditional thing. It goes back many years. And what you do is you drink coffee, Turkish coffee, with your with the reader, and then you turn over the cup, and whatever you have on the bottom of the cup, you basically read it. It's like a movie. And my work is, you don't have to drink the cup. I do it from afar. So my clientele is all around the world. You just schedule a time, and then I prepare the cup for you, and then we do a session. So sometimes I do sessions for myself. In other words, I turn the cup for myself, and I see what the messages are coming up. So in one of the cups, they showed me a number 9, a big 9. And that, I believe, represents the November 9th. And if you look at all the celestial events that are taking place,
yes.
And I mean, November 8th is a blood moon, full moon, and we have the lunar eclipse. That's huge. On the 8th, on the election day.
Oh my word! And the 9th, I have a son.
And the 9th is a new paradigm. It's a new reality. You have a birthday?
I have a son who has a birthday.
Happy birthday, Mr. Scorpio.
Yes, he's a Scorpio. Yes. Yes,
there are other people also who have been pointing to this week because of a lot of those changes too. And I kept hearing the 8th. I don't know why.
Yeah. Somebody, yeah, a lot of people have been saying something about the 8th because it's, I think, because of election. But Dr. Sam too on EBH, she's saying that something big will happen this week. There's a lot of people saying that. So
Yeah, I just
yeah.
see something here, warning signs. He says 11/9/9/11 is the opposite, and I agree with it. It's a reverse of 9/11.
Oh yeah, there we go.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff going on here. And again, I don't have to be reading a cup. I think everybody can tell that something is about to happen this week because I don't want to say too many words so your video doesn't, they don't knock
Yes,
you out.
yes, I appreciate that. Thank you
gotta
very
be
much.
careful.
We talk in code as much as we have to in order to stay up.
Yeah.
It never ceases to amaze me because I really thought we were, supposed to have freedom of speech.
Yeah.
And
So
that
again,
is,
let's go back to the dates real quick.
okay.
Try to stay away from the dates. Don't hang up to them.
Yep.
Be beyond the dates. It's not something that you want to be clinging onto because it creates anxiety. And
Definitely.
anxiety is the last thing you want to be in. Anger is the last thing you want to be in. Sorrow you don't want to be in. Fear you don't want to be in, definitely, because when you open yourselves to those negativities, it affects your health and your mindset and your environment. So yeah.
So we have somebody said she's been hearing about the 8th for 3 months now, and I don't think it was politics is
It's
a
possible.
concern.
It's possible. We don't know. Maybe they're going to throw a red flag. Who knows?
False flag. Yeah, that's very possible.
We don't know. Again, I don't know everything. Well, I do
No
know
one
something's going to
does.
happen. I'm pretty sure, certain.
Yeah. I would agree with you. I don't know what it is, and I feel that. I have that feeling too.
It doesn't matter. It
It's
doesn't
just the
matter.
feeling, yeah.
At the end of the day, God has to step in. If you think about it, God has to step in.
I will be so happy when
There's
he
no other way.
does.
There's no other way. God has to step in.
It's absolutely required. It is required. And I'm going to be very happy about that when it happens. Let's see.
What else?
All right, let's see. Let's talk a little bit more about the ascension process because you had quite a bit on that too. Do you have any suggestions for people as to prepare themselves for what may or may happen that we don't know exactly what it is?
You're referring to the ascension or the storm?
Well, let's start with the how do we get from a storm to ascension?
It's all related. It's all linked together. Okay, let's go back a little bit. We're in the middle of the ascension, the precession of the equinoxes.
Right.
It is a 36-year transition that we basically, the middle point is 2012. So the energetical patterns and the slog that we used to go through and prior to 2012 is no longer here. We're literally within a new paradigm. We're in a new energy type. We're in a new earth. We already stepped into new earth. Now, we have to clean out the house before we move forward. We cannot continue into the next evolutionary process before we clean our home. What do I mean by that? Clean out all those evil ones, all these monsters, and whatever they've done, and to clean it out and bring ourselves to a point where everybody is aware of what's going on so we can take responsibility. This is the first time that Earth is going to be free. This is the first time that we're going to be taking responsibility. So imagine yourself, if you use the analogy of a child finishing kindergarten and first grade. Now we're coming into first grade where we are able to start taking more responsibility for ourselves. And
Well,
it's coming.
Okay. Can I ask a quick question? When people hear about taking responsibility for themselves, and let's say maybe they're doing the best they can, they're working a low-income job and they're using food stamps, and then self-responsibility, then people interpret that as, oh my God, how am I going to survive? Because I won't be able to, the financial relief I think is critical to this whole thing to raise people's consciousness and frequency, because of the fear factor that we were talking about before, that people fall into because of the stress of, am I going to be able to do this? Am I going to be able to make it? And da 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 da. Now that doesn't happen to people that have, secure incomes and situations, but there's an awful lot of people that don't.
One of the things that they made us addicted to is money.
Yeah.
The fear about money. It's literally an addiction that we have to heal ourselves from.
Mhm.
Money does not solve anything. It makes you more comfortable. And I'm going to say this very carefully, because I know people are going to come back and say, what are you talking about, Eddie? Come on, I need to pay rent. I need to pay my food.
37% of the people in America were not able to pay their rent last month.
Look, I didn't get here to where I am by just having a silver spoon in my mouth. Okay? There were times where I had no money at all, zero in the account. And I have children at home. I have rent to pay. And I had to trust. And things unfolded in a particular way, a perfect way, so I can maintain a good livelihood at home. Above the fact that things were very challenging, life was very challenging. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be easy.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a child, the birth is not easy.
No.
You know that, a mother. Mothers know what I'm talking about. When you birth a child, it's not easy. And the same thing, when you birth a new earth, is not easy. Now, let's go back to the compassion element. Every planet, this is a view. This is a higher view of the whole story, this whole game board. Let's take it to a higher altitude of a view when we look at what's going on the planet. Far high, very, very top. Every planet, when its inhabitants is ready to jump to the next level, fifth dimension, ascension process, whatever you want to call it, okay? There's got to be a spike in a particular energy. One particular energy. That energy has to do with compassion.
Oh, wow.
We cannot and will not move forward unless we get to that level of compassion. Now, usually, what happens and what is needed to create this spike in energy is an event. And we're in the event. So this is a very precise event. And whatever we're going through is all divinely led by source. So I encourage everyone to take a deep breath and know that we're on the right track. Everything's going to be okay. And again, we're going through a storm. It's going to be tough, but you have to understand that after this, it's going to be incredible. You have to be patient. There's going to be a regrowth time. We're going to have to rebuild. We're going to have to bring in the new systems. We're going to have to understand how we're going to work this through together. And everybody will have an opportunity to take part in whatever form or shape. You could be even at home taking care of your children the best way possible. That's helping. You don't have to be out there in the streets doing something. You don't have to go and build houses or any of the sorts. Your contribution is where your heart is. And remembering that source, God, is with you. Always remember, one God.
Prime creator, source of all it is and ever can be. All right. Well, it's just, it's a wonderful thought. And the connection to source, the old system is collapsing now, and the ability to connect to source, I think, has increased substantially more readily than it was in the past. It just seems like there were more obstacles or something.
I agree with you. Right. You're right on the money. Absolutely. We're open. You want to call it like the channels are more open. The veil is thinned. For example, Edgar Cayce, back in the days, he had to go through a procedure to channel. Mm-hmm. I don't remember exactly what he had to do, but it took a process for him to get to the moment where he was able to channel, to speak. And he was even it was not conscious. In other words, he went into a trance in order to channel. Nowadays, many people just channel. They just speak.
And
Right.
yeah. Yeah, so
Uh,
yes.
yeah, tarot card reading, that's a channeling process.
Oops, wait a minute. That's the wrong
Right.
one. Wait, here, this was the one I meant. I don't know how that happened. It's just conspiratory. And I'm ready. Let's birth this thing already.
Yeah. Let's do this.
So the other thing, you have a compassion meter on your website, don't you?
Yeah. So this is a collaborative work with a dear friend of mine. In 2015, I started working on this. And this was actually where I was talking about the financial stress. This was at the peak. And this is what came out of this. I was able to spend more time in thought and process and channeling. And they showed me something. They said, Eddie, listen, energy is measurable. And we want you to measure a particular type of energy. And we're going to guide you how to do it. So in 2017, fast forward 4 years later, we created a prototype. It's called the Compassion Gauge tool. And what it does is basically, it's once you click the button, it's a digital tool. You'll find it on two of my websites, and on Vortex and Gollygoose. Gollygoose was the one that I launched the first time. I called it Gollygoose, the Uplifting News Network. And what we simply did was we took the compassion tool and put it under aggregated news, positive news that's coming in from around the world. And what we asked the viewer to do is to simply look at the video that we presented on the page. And when you're done, press the button at the bottom where it says vote. The moment the user clicks votes, the system detects the energy of the user. Now, when it does that, it measures the level of compassion and then measures it from 1 to 10, from 0 to 10. And the objective of that process was to show people how compassionate that particular story is. So the more compassion that this story shows, because more people come in, press the vote, 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 and then there's an accumulative process that adds more to this to the measurement. So this works very, very quickly. Some people think it's just a button. It's not just a button. There's a whole bunch of process going on behind it, but it's very, very quick. So it's very just like that. So we tested it for a while. It works pretty well. And we have some future plans for this, where you literally can have the system on a stage, big signs on the stage. And then if you have a crowd, let's say a whole crowd is doing meditation, and we can have this system running, have it running on intervals of a few seconds, and then measure what's the compassion level during this meditation. And it's possible. We can do this.
Wow.
So energy is energy. We talked about energy in the beginning. Your consciousness has the capacity to affect matter. It's very simple. But how do you translate energy into digital system? And that was a secret.
Yeah, that's fascinating. That's really wonderful that you can do that. Wow.
Yeah.
And have you had anybody that touched it and it went full right off the first time?
Well, yeah, the button is actually on every page on Gollygoose and on Vortex also, almost every page. And basically what you do, you can press only once from one instrument. So let's say you're on your phone and you press the button on the same page once, you cannot press it again. You have to go to another computer and do it again. Now, bear in mind, this has to do with the state of being in that particular second.
At that moment. Okay.
In that moment. If you come back later, it's going to be different. Now, people say, I got a 0. It doesn't mean you're not compassionate. It's just that story did not evoke compassion in you. Or maybe you were in a state of, maybe you were tired. Maybe you were in a state of fear, or anger, sorrow, or whatever. It doesn't matter. So it's very precise in the terms of what it detects and how it detects
it. Interesting. Well, Harry has frequently has interesting things to say. Strong AI has learned from the best of humans and improved humanity algorithms, but there's still profit AI playing the profit games. Interesting. Okay. Okay, let me take that one down. So the compassion measurement is a temporary on the spot measurement at that time. Is
Yes, it's
basically
a
the
state
best
of
way
being.
to.
It's not an emotional measurement. It's a state of being.
Oh,
I know
okay.
it takes a little bit of digging into the what I'm saying here, because state of being is different than a feeling.
Oh,
You
okay.
got to be in that. How should we say this? You're in a state of being of joy. When you're dancing and you're happy, there's the happiness
Mhm,
is a result of being that in that state of being of happiness.
mhm.
Sometimes you can be happy, but you're not completely in that state of joy. I mean, you see where I'm going with this?
Okay.
It can be you're a compassionate human, but sometimes something throw you off. Again, we're not static. We're always moving. The energy is always moving. I can
Mhm.
be in a state of joy and a state of fear later on, and then it just shifts. It's up to us. We're in charge, and the tool is designed to measure one end type of energy, which is the result of being in a state of compassion.
Wow. Well, that's really something to know about, and people can access it on your
Yeah,
website, right?
yeah, it's available.
And I believe we have Dot Connector will put the website in the chat here. If she went off for some reason, maybe she's having connection issues. She does sometimes.
Okay.
So anyway, your website is it's Vortex 8, but it's spelled different. It's in the description for anyone. In all the videos that go out, it'll be in the description, as well as a information on Eddie's background, his websites, and all the different things that he's done. And I would really encourage you to check it out, because it's very interesting. And there's more information coming forward as a result of his channeling with the whales, and the compassion button, and many other things. You have a lot going on there, Eddie. It's really good and helpful, and I really appreciate
I appreciate you.
your
Thank you for
sharing
making the time.
your information with all of us, because we want to raise that compassion level on the planet. We want to raise that joy
Big
on the
time.
planet.
Big time.
That's what we need. The sooner we do that, because you know what? I don't care how poor you are or how terrible things are, you can still smile, because there's still there. You can still find some joy. It's not easy. Okay, I'm not saying it's easy. I've been there. I've been through a lot in my life,
I'm
and
sure.
you learn more from some of the hardships than you do from the good, because it challenges you, and then when you get through it, you can look back and say, well, I got through it.
Mhm, mhm.
I really believe that most of us that are on the planet at this time, that are not empty containers, uh, and those do exist, but those of us that are human, I do believe that we have the capacity to make this change, even if our numbers are not that great.
100%. We're good. We're on good track. You
So,
know, I want to share something with everyone here too, just to give you a little bit of an exercise, a practice that you can use every day. It doesn't cost you anything. So, say you're driving down the street and you see a man or woman walking down the street, and they're homeless.
yeah,
Just close
there's
your
a
eyes
lot
for a
of that.
second, not while you're driving though. Maybe
Yeah.
stop the car for a sec. But just send them some love. You don't have to go out there and tell them anything. Just send them some love. Raise your hand and say I love you. That's it. That means a lot. That shifts completely your mindset, your state of being. You're going to feel much better afterwards too, I promise you. Because you've done something incredible. You just
That's
cared
a
about
wonderful
someone
thing.
who's
That's a
yeah.
wonderful thing to say, Eddie, because one of the things that's been happening with people lately that I've picked up on, some people go, well, they see someone homeless on the street and they're asking for help, right? And so they go, oh, why don't, there's some people that go, well, why don't you get a job? Well,
Mm,
which is just cruel. because it doesn't help at the moment at all. Or I don't want to give them any money or anything because they might just go buy booze, that kind of thing. And so people are judging and making assumptions that many times are totally unwarranted, unfair, and shouldn't happen. And getting people to do what you just stated is not taking any money out of their pocket, because everybody's worried about that right now. That is such a big issue. It's horrible. But anyway, to actually send love to a person like that, that's a wonderful, and it doesn't cost anything. So that's a wonderful way to handle that. I appreciate that very much that you brought that up.
Pleasure.
So just like on the little smile campaign that we did, it was pick somebody out that's not smiling, that looks all crappy. I did that this morning, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, how'd it go?
I had to go to cashier and do something, and I got something, and the guy was really, kind of crabby and like, hurry and get at it. I said, "You should really smile more," and I just smiled at him, and he
What'd he
just
say?
he smiled. And he smiled.
Is it that easy?
Yeah, some people are a lot harder than others, but it makes you feel good after the fact. So that's important.
Beautiful.
Well, is there anything else that you think we should cover right now that we haven't talked about?
What else?
Pardon?
I'm thinking out loud. What else?
What else? Well,
Any
I know
questions
you have.
perhaps in the audience? Maybe
Yeah. Has anybody got any questions out there?
Come on, challenge us.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay, sure.
Hi there. I'm sorry I got disconnected.
Welcome back.
That's what I said when you.
Miss you.
Oh, she has connection issues sometimes. We're glad to have you back because we're asking the audience for any new questions. And
Okay. Well, I have some, and I may have missed some, so please bear with me, okay? Because I was trying to restart the computer and all this kind of stuff. What messages from the whales besides compassion have you received? Did they talk about current events? Did they talk about the state of fear in the world? What other messages do they give?
Let's see. So this is not directly from the whales, but it's a mixture of things, because prior to when the whales have actually identified themselves, which was in April this year.
Yes.
A year ago, they actually came in and they said, "Hey, we're 7 and we're coming in to teach you the secrets of the universe." I said, "Okay." And then they basically revealed themselves in April of this year. And part of the story is going to come up in the next book that's coming up, Love Warriors. It's I'm launching it. We're launching it in June 6th, and I have the information on my website. But as far as what they've said is what I mentioned with regards to the compassion level.
Yes.
And then there is a point in time where our evolutionary process, meaning our collective as one, reaches a particular point, we're going to be living life on Earth in a completely different way. We're going to be more in tune with Gaia in ways that we haven't done in a very long time. We're going to go back to the times of Lemuria, the way we lived there.
Wonderful.
And bear in mind, Lemuria was just the beginning part to have us ready, to get us ready, prepared for what's coming now. So think of it as like we went to school in Lemuria, we studied everything we need to do, our DNA was calibrated to what we need to do, and then we went off to do our work. Now we're coming back again. This was a little detour. And we have to be patient with ourselves. We have to be patient with one another. We have to understand this is a process. And we got so used to things happening very quickly. You know, you want your meal quickly, you want that quickly, you want everything quickly. It doesn't work that way. It takes time to cook a meal. When mother makes a meal in the kitchen, it doesn't happen automatically. It takes time to boil the water, it takes time to cook the rice, it takes time to cook the meat, whatever you have on your dish there. So with the same respect to what's happening today, you gotta have patience. We're in a rush to get somewhere. You have all the time in the world. If you do it in this lifetime, you come back again, or the next lifetime, you're fine. Don't worry about it. You're gonna do your work. Trust me. So don't worry about thinking, oh, am I gonna be left behind? Nobody's gonna be left behind. No such thing.
That's fantastic, and that's very comforting for people to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Now I know everybody asks dates, and I'm not asking for a date. I'm just asking for, we know that the storm is coming very shortly, and we're talking about all the astrological changes this week, and so
Planetary alignments.
yes, it seems like we're hitting a certain time.
Prefaces.
It's very important. Yeah. Right now.
I'm going to say something 107 said. Don't get too stuck on dates.
I didn't hear that
Well,
one, but okay.
that may be my impatience coming through.
No, I mean, I feel the same way. I want things
People
to happen
are
already.
wore out. I
That's
mean,
my
let's
kids.
face it. This has been, 2 years of hell, really.
That's my kids. Dad, you keep telling us it's happening, it's happening, it's happening. Where's it going to happen? Oh, it's going to happen this week. Okay, finally, let's let that happen. What if nothing happens? We're in trouble.
I know. If somebody says you have to wait another 2 years, I think I'm just going to melt.
No.
I'm just going to have this breakdown.
No. Look,
Really.
let's take a comparison. This is from Lee Carroll, who channels Cryon. Years ago, he's talked about the Pleiadians, our parents, and from their perspective, their time of when they had to jump this level, just like we're doing right now, they went through a horrific time, worse than us. So we're in a good shape compared to what they were going through. Now, what do I mean by good shape? Could have been worse.
True.
So we got to be grateful where we are now and continue being grateful and continue doing the work we need to do. That is hold our lights, be compassionate with one another. And again, back to the dates, something has to happen. Has to. It's either on the date, past the date, between the dates, from now till 2024, something has to happen because we have to clean house. We cannot continue our evolutionary process until we clean a house. We cannot continue.
So how did 2024 come into your mind just now? Because we've heard 2024, 2025 as potential,
We've heard so many dates. I don't even listen to them anymore.
So you know what? Let's look at it from a different perspective.
Okay.
I don't know if any of you have done ayahuasca ceremonies.
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
One time
I'll
I did.
explain. Oh, okay. So I'll
It was a
explain.
very good experience, actually.
So the way that this works is at some point there's a buildup. You go into the you take the medicine. You go into you dive into the ceremony. Your eyes are covered, and music is playing, and you're going through this process. Internal process is an internal, very deep, powerful, profound journey. Now, at some point, there's a purge. Now, the purge, you don't eat for a day or two, so there's no food. You're just, coming up with, imagine.
Yeah.
Don't imagine. So that's
Moving right along.
buildup,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
That buildup is what's happening right now. The purge is coming. Okay, the purge is coming. And after the purge, there is this time of acclimation, repositioning yourself, rediscovering yourself, understanding what took place, digesting, processing. And then you implement what is the best thing for you based on your knowledge, based on the wisdom that you've you've accumulated. And this is a learning process for us. We lost your girl again.
Wow. That was strange.
You back?
You're back.
Yes.
So this is a learning process.
Yes.
And through the learning process, we basically function, or not function, but we choose to do things in a particular way. Now, what is humanity going to choose to do? Eventually, we're going to be okay. We're going to be in a better place for our evolutionary, for our children, for the planet. Everything's going to be in a much, 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 much better way. But we have to go through this. Again, we cannot continue. Let's put it this way. If you're a runner and you have a pebble stuck in your shoe, can you run?
Nope.
If you have a stomach ache in the morning, can you go to work?
Nope.
I might
Maybe.
force myself.
Yeah, but depends on what else is going on.
But the analogy fits, right? I mean, you see
Yeah,
where
yeah,
it's going with. Okay, so again, the details don't really matter. What's going to happen on every instant? It doesn't matter. I mean, I can read the cup for collective, but what's that going to give us? You see, that's a cup. That's an example of a cup.
Okay.
Right? So I can read what's going to happen. I can find out some perhaps dates or directions and whatever I can. I don't like to do this. I don't like to do this on a big space. I prefer to work one-on-one or in groups because it's very complex. And I'm not here to be, what do you call it? Woo, Messiah
Guru.
thing. Forget it. Not for me. The key is to understand that we have to take this one step at a time and to trust source, trust God, know that we're on track and we're heading in a great, great direction. And before we get there, we have to clean house.
True.
There's no other way.
And there are a lot of courses on your website, correct?
Right now, I have one major one, Ascending into a Heart's Awareness. It's a 6 months. You sign up for 6 months with me. And then we basically open you up. There's a greater embodiment of God that you're able to attain within you. And through the process of the 9 modules of this course, we start from the very beginning where we scrape off what is not needed and then start putting new stuff in. And there's also the healing meditations. There's the reading that I do for you. And at the same time, at the end, you graduate. And the objective is for you to be happier, channel, heal yourself and others around you. So I teach also a healing modality. I call it the Entourage healing modality.
What is that? Explain it, please.
So each one of us has an entourage. Think of it as a support group that is comprised of angels, elementals, dragons, ancestors, loved ones. Each one of us is unique, and it's huge. We have the closer circle of the entourage and the greater circle, which comes to about it's 1,000 group or so. It's not small. We have a lot of support on the other side. Now, the entourage is here to support in many ways. And during this healing process, what we do is we collaborate with the entourage and ourselves to heal ourselves or the person who is stepping forward and seeking assistance. And with their help, during the process, we discover what is needed to be done and deal with it at that time, take care of it. And there's different ways of doing it while you're in that process of healing.
Okay.
It's the same thing, the same process. We do healing for water. I go to places where there's water, the ocean, lakes, rivers, wherever I find I feel the need that the water needs help, I go there. And even from afar if needs to. Your presence is not necessary everywhere.
Do you pray over the water if you're there, or what do you do?
I stand next to the water.
Okay.
And then there's a particular process that I go through. Again, I cannot just say what it is because it takes a process for me to teach it.
Oh, okay. I see.
But what essentially we get to is what I call, how much time do we have left?
Plenty.
Okay.
Don't worry.
All right.
Yeah.
So one of the subject is this of the course is the anatomy of your soul. And years back, they started showing me a something that I wasn't sure what it was. This something was it slowly gathered more momentum and colors and shapes. And today I call it the soul's mental grid. So we are on a planet where there are systems that are designed to assist us. Earth is a system, time is a system, gravity is a system, the sun is a system, astrology is a system, numerology is a system, the Akashic record is a system, reincarnation is a system. And then there's a particular system that's called the soul's mental grid. This system is designed to meld your soul piece into the physical body. Okay.
Okay.
So you have the soul, your soul, the main soul, and then there's a soul piece that comes in and is infused or meld into the body. And it takes a system to do this process. This system, if you measure it, it's the size of a football field.
Wow.
It's pretty big. And so during the course, I teach it, what it is, and how to utilize it or use it on a practical basis. And it's a work in process as well, a progress as well. I'm still bringing stuff that's related to this.
I haven't heard of that one either, Eddie.
Yeah,
So
it's pretty
you're
new.
enlightening me here. Thank you. I
Sounds like
appreciate that.
Sounds like a very big aura.
Yeah.
Yeah, the aura is only part of it. You have the
That's what I'm
Merkaba,
picturing,
the aura. I'm sorry?
Yes, that's what I'm picturing. Like we have more of a scalar type
Aura.
effect, more than we realize.
Yes.
Far more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we
we've
have
been made to feel small by the controllers on the planet that are
Yes.
being eliminated as we speak. I do believe.
Yeah. I have a free class on that if anybody's interested. They're more than welcome to come into Vortex, and it's available there, where I basically explain the basics of it.
The anatomy of the soul class.
The anatomy.
And that one's
of the
free?
soul. Pardon me?
And that class is free?
Yeah, that's free.
That's awesome. Okay. So there you go, people. He's got a free class. All it takes is your time, and it probably would be well worth your time. I may have to do it myself.
Yeah.
It'll be an honor to see you.
What is your understanding of med beds coming forward? People are always asking about that too. And
Look,
we get all kinds of mixed
we've been told
stories.
that we have like what 6,000 patents that were hidden from us.
Yes, 6,000 cures. You know, yeah.
So I don't know all of them, but I'm certain that there's some incredible stuff that's related to healing that's going to come out.
Do you think these will come out in the form of patents or in the form of something already made or what?
Well, I'm sure that they already have it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
they want to save as many lives as soon as possible, because that's the main goal, the main objective. That's why things are taking as long as it needs to take. It's all about lives and protecting lives. So how they're going to come out? I'm pretty sure that they come out in a way that it's going to be available to everyone.
That's cool.
There isn't going to be a money aspect behind it or a profit aspect behind it.
That's good. There's a question here that are the whales connected to the water beings who live underwater, or are they of the group of 7 only?
So the group of 7 is a representation of the original founders, the 7 energies. And the whales are associated with everything on the planet: plants, soil, crystals, humans, all living things. Those who you can see and those you cannot see. That's
fascinating. I never knew that. So that's new information to me. I always enjoy new information. I'm an information junkie, I guess. But wow. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, okay. Somebody's asking, what are the 7 energies that you refer to?
So I'm referring to the energies of the 7 founders, the whales. They each have a distinct energy, just like we each have a character.
Mhm.
And because this is still fresh for me, I'm still learning about them. And so it's going to take a little bit more time when I can identify more who and what.
Okay. I have another question for you that I was thinking about when we were talking earlier. And that is, do you think that the people that are on Earth here today were chosen and selected to be here, the humans that are here, for this very purpose of this ascension process right now?
100%. As I said before, this is the lifetime you've been waiting for.
So people are warriors and they don't even know it, basically. Or maybe warrior is the wrong word. I don't know. Soldiers, no. It sounds like you're in a fight, but actually we are.
Well, part of God's army,
Yeah.
forces
There you
army,
go.
right?
There you
Yeah.
go. Yeah. Thank you for
God's
that.
army. So there's different, let's call it layers of souls. Okay. I'm not going to categorize them. I'm just going to put layers. There's one that is here, has been here ever since the beginning of the establishment of Earth, which means those souls have been here very, very early on. And it took them a while until the physical form was ready and available for them to actually become part of the planet in a human form or humanoid form, not necessarily human yet. And then they are still here. They're doing the work. You could call them very old souls, or original souls, if you will. And then there are those who are in between. And the third layer is the one that are very, very recent. Now, the ones that are very, very recent are the ones who have, all of us have chosen this. Everything has to do with choice. Nobody's forcing you to come into the planet. No such thing. You come in with your own choice. You choose to come into the planet. You choose your life. You choose your gender. You choose your name. You choose your birth date, your death. You choose your parents. You choose a lot of things before you come in, and some of the things after you come in.
So that's a given. That's a fact.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard that said, and I've heard people argue that that's a bunch of baloney. That why would you choose to do certain things that happen to you in this life? That, like, for example, why would you choose to go to prison? Or why would you choose to hurt somebody? Things like that. So
let's go back to the analogy of a child.
okay.
When a baby crawls the floor, do they take to their mouth everything they can find? They don't know. You got to be careful. They cannot, there's a level of soul that comes in that's very, very young and they don't know yet. And so they get in trouble. That is the layer of souls that I'm referring to that are coming in and they're coming in just to experience and learn. This is a big school. We're here to learn. This is an academy of school of Earth, if you want to call it. And there's different grades. And again, everybody's important. Everybody's loved and has the capacity in equal ways. There's no one more and there's no one less. You got to get that out of your window. No way.
That's hard. People have a hard time with that one.
Yeah, you got to get it out of the window because there's no such thing as more or less. We're all here. We're all the same thing. It's just that some of us have been. I'm sorry.
No ego.
No, we're here, and again, this planet is here because we chose it to be here, and we chose to be in this game.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Someone in the chat just asked, maybe he can elaborate or that hand or God compassion moment or the photon belt. Does that make sense to you?
I think he's referring also perhaps to a solar flash or a sudden increase in the photonic energy that may give us a stimulus to wake up a little bit.
I think we're already waking up.
Yeah, we are.
And
definitely
this is just going to continue. And I agree with you. It's going to continue and accelerate. It's going to get more intense. But at the same time, we're becoming acclimated to it. And we don't know, or we cannot distinguish between Should I put this? Hold on a sec. Okay. If you're able to go back in time and feel yourself 4 years before, and then come back again, feel yourself 4 years ahead of time, you're going to notice a huge difference in who you are, in your understanding, your capacity to see things, your power, your wisdom. Everything is shifted. Yeah, I'm not talking about.
I can see that in this
gray
lifetime.
hair.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not talking about gray hair on your hair. No.
No, but true. Like some people say, you know, a good exercise sometimes, if you have some wounds, let's say, in your childhood that, you know, may have set you up for some of your characteristics now, that you can envision talking to yourself as the inner child, like as a 6-year-old or something like that, and work with that and try to say, you know, have a conversation with that person. Does that make sense?
No, totally. Yeah, that's part of the work. Yeah, totally.
Part of your
So-
soul fractal, you know, whatever.
That's the way it works. Yes. Look again. I'm coming back to awareness and consciousness. When you become aware of something, you have the capacity to shift things, even if you don't know the exact details. So, example, if I have a session with someone, we go back and I tell them, listen, I see something happen when you were 9. What happened when you were 9? And they can say, oh, we moved the house and my father had to go and I wasn't around. I missed my father. And okay, you feel not loved, but your father had to go to work. It has nothing to do with you. She says, okay. So that whole thing just transmutes. So they go to the root of the problem and you shift everything. You don't shift the past, but you shift your relationship to the past. And this is what you're referring to.
That makes so much sense. Yes.
You learn the lesson that was meant to be learned.
Yes.
Not the
I always prefer,
attached.
and I'm going to say this again, I prefer to consider it experience. When people talk about lessons, it always, for some reason, maybe it's just a hang up I have, but it comes out as a, like a punishment.
It could be. Yeah, you're right. Like lesson in class, right? Or a lesson in,
I prefer to call it experience, because it is an experience, whether it's positive or negative, and it doesn't mean that you're a bad person either way. I mean, you know, that's the way I see it anyway.
Yeah, it's probably part of the program, you know, one of those words, those trigger words, right?
We've been so programmed, it's incredible. And that's something that, like what you had just mentioned, that connector about speaking to the child, is that self-analysis and going through, you know, asking yourself questions and why are you triggered and why, you know, a lot of that needs to happen, and people are doing it and seeing things, and people are also talking about memories that are coming forward that they haven't even thought about for a really long time, and now all of a sudden it's coming
to the
forefront,
to be faced. Yeah. And in dreams, lots of dreams have changed.
For those of us that remember the dreams. So I have to add that. I'm sorry. Because I've gotten more in visions and meditation than I have in dreams. And I don't know why. That's a frustration. And I've done all the things that they tell you to do, keep a pencil and paper, but I need to ask source. But I also say this, because if I am a warrior, and I believe I am, in the spiritual realm, I don't necessarily want to come back with a memory of that could be interpreted by the bad guys, and then they know what's going on. I mean, does that make any sense?
You may be referring to what you can remember from past life that you don't want to remember. Is that what you're referring to?
No, I'm referring to the spiritual war at this time that's going on. And if you're out there in the different realms, whether it be astral or wherever, that you you would be there. And now I'm losing my train of thought. I'm afraid.
I know what you're saying. Can I jump in?
I'm trying to explain it, but it's not coming out right.
Say I'm having a dream and I have my sword and I have my plasma balls I'm throwing at these things and all that. But before I come back, my mind gets wiped. So I just think it's a dream. It didn't really happen, kind of thing, so that the enemy cannot know what happened.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to explain, and for some reason, I wasn't able to get that out. That's been said by some other
So
spiritual teachers. So whether it's true or not,
you
I don't know.
are incredibly powerful. This is the premise of who you are. And when you cognize it, when you understand that you're powerful and you carry the light of source, and if you go out there and you assist the good guys in diminishing and neutralizing all those bad ones, then nothing can bother you. It's that
True.
simple.
True. Love it.
You are the power. It's not that, oh my God, I'm being attacked. No, turn on your light and everything's gonna go away.
Put on your armor, shine your light.
Yeah.
Real
Shine your
bright.
light, dissolve the negativity with the light.
Nothing can touch you. If you're bright, no darkness can come through you. No one.
Well, that's why people like even David Icke, who has been attacked viciously for a long time, whether you agree with him or whatever. He's been ridiculed and everything. He says they can't touch me. I'm at a frequency that's higher than they are, basically, or that he's protected and he knows it and he believes it, and that creates a shield.
That's a trust. That's a trust aspect. Absolutely.
Yeah, that trust is the key, because whenever I trust my intuition, everything works. It's
Yeah, and then when you start letting your
doubt
mind
it.
come in and start analyzing it and saying, well, this,
Yep.
that, and the other thing, and then you go, oh, well, and then you start
I
changing your
should have
mind.
listened. I should
Yeah,
have listened.
exactly.
Yeah.
So many times I've done that.
I did look up Eddie's name because I noticed his last name is special.
Mhm.
And your first name, Eddie, means wealthy guardian.
Wow.
And Ben David is obviously, of the bloodline of the son of Abraham. I mean, BenAbraham. I mean, what a name you have.
Thank you. I didn't know the first one that says that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've done that before. We looked up Ishmael Perez's name too, and it's really interesting with our
So
different.
you're a
actually-
guardian of these, not secrets, but revelations, or a guardian of these precepts that we should be more aware of. These teachings. How's that? That's
Wow.
nice.
That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Is that what you just found when you Googled it?
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you. I never found that explanation before for my name.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, here's one for you. Here's a question.
Talk to me.
How can we transmute people's illnesses? Everyone is sick. It makes me sick to see how sick everyone is. I don't mean to laugh, Lee, but it is funny that. But
How do we
is true.
begin? How
There's
do we
truth to
begin?
that.
We begin with ourselves.
Yeah. And I think it's difficult because we've all been exposed to so many toxins, and getting them out of our system is a real challenge. And then our food here is very poisoned as well. It's but it just shows the strength of humanity to be able to. I mean, look at how they got us with the air, they got us with the food, they got us with the water, they got us with our clothes, they got us with the Wi-Fi. I mean, we are being bombarded with things that are toxic to our biological self, and but yet we are still going. We are still pushing forward.
Yeah.
So people really should focus on their strength, because we've been through a lot, every single one of us, from family members turning us away to even dying from what's been going on. And but we just keep going forward. I know people are tired, and I feel for them. But
Can I ask a question about AI and transhumanism, just in general, and the thing in the arm, and all that stuff? I truly believe that we are going to overcome this, and I just was interested in your take on that.
Remember what I said about the compassion element.
Mm-hmm.
So the compassion has to come in, has to step in. We have to have a spike in compassion, and for that we need an event.
just like
And
what happened with 9/11, huh? Because there was a big spike in compassion at that time, wasn't there?
yeah, but that incident or that thing was not for the better of humanity.
No, Not to mention all the money gone.
No, this is what's going on here is going to look okay. I'm going to say is going to look weird what I'm going to say because it's very sensitive to what I'm about to speak, and some are going to leave. And we talked about the event. Because of the event, there's got to be a spike in compassion. Again, everything is orchestrated in a particular way with source. It's the choice of the souls that are coming in. We're going to come into the planet. We're going to practice in this game so we can have the experience and contribute to the process of the planet to go higher. This is a soul's perspective view, not a human perspective. The human perspective is, oh my God, everybody's dying. Not everybody, but a lot of people are dying because of that. So having said that, I encourage people to see this from an upper view. I'm not saying disconnect yourself completely from emotions. Be compassionate, be loving, take care of people, see whoever you can assist with healing themselves, do it. But at the same time, there is a greater reason why we're going through what we're going through. It's not a coincidence. It's not an accident. It's not a one-time out of the blue occasion. No, there's a reason for this. There's a reason why we're here. It's a great reason.
Yes, it is. And it's exciting as well. And things keep moving forward.
Yes.
And I'm really happy about that. All right. Do we have any more questions in the chat that we need to address, or Dot Connected? Do you have
someone
any
had
other
asked what your name means, and I just looked up your first name. So it means Father in Rejoicing.
Wow.
So it means you are loved.
I hope that's that, Father.
Yes, yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
Because I know my dad thought I was the third girl. And he wanted a boy.
Well, I was
You got
the
something
oldest,
better.
and my
So
father
it has to
wanted
be
his-
the father.
Yeah,
got Gail.
my father wanted a boy too, and I was the oldest, so he wanted a boy first. But I was a tomboy. But that's it.
Alrighty then. Well, unless we have any more to cover, I think we have a good show here.
Yeah, let's see some fun next time, no?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd love to have you back if you want to come back.
That would be terrific.
I'll be honored. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. It's been very enlightening. Besides, I want to know more about what you hear from the whales.
Me too.
Yeah, I bet. You're lucky.
Me too. I'm looking
Especially,
forward to see what else they got.
Yeah, wow, that is just
Yeah.
so exciting. So I think we'll call it a wrap, and thank you for
Thank
your
you very much,
time
man.
and
Thank everybody for
energy
joining.
and everything that you've done. And thank you, listening audience, and do think of us in when you are being compassionate. Let's see. Okay. So
All right. Bye, everyone.
ahead.
Big love. Take care.